Ever felt like you're constantly explaining things no one asked about? As if every step you take, every choice you make, every quiet moment you cherish needs justification, as if just existing requires a reason. It's tiring, isn't it? Maybe you found yourself explaining why you're tired, why you didn't want to go out, why you chose to care for yourself, as if choosing yourself was a betrayal, a sin you must justify. Without realizing it, you start asking for permission to simply be. You carry an invisible burden, always explaining yourself, as if you owe an apology to the world for being who you are. It's like carrying a heavy backpack filled with silent regrets. I'm sorry I didn't fit in. I'm sorry I wasn't enough. The more you explain, the further you drift from yourself. We're taught from an early age to please, to adapt, to shape ourselves so we don't make others uncomfortable. We become masters of justification, turning feelings into arguments, into defenses, because somewhere along the way, we believed our emotions need others' validation before they can be real. But eventually, something inside whispers, enough. Enough of translating yourself for others, enough of begging for acceptance disguised as explanation. Sometimes silence isn't surrender. Sometimes it's the first act of self-respect. Silence can be a boundary, a firm, quiet line that says, I no longer need to convince you of my truth. What if true self-love begins when you stop explaining yourself? Have you ever asked where this compulsive need to explain comes from? It's not just a habit, it's a wound. There's something ancient within you, a fear of being misunderstood. Maybe it traces back to childhood, to when you learned that if you didn't explain well enough, you'd face rejection or worse, abandonment. So you began overanalyzing every word, every action, monitoring your behavior as if walking a minefield, where one wrong step meant emotional exile. This is emotional memory echoing through you. Don't say that. What will people think? Be quiet. That's not appropriate. If you act that way, no one will love you. Those words planted a seed of doubt, whispering, maybe I'm not enough as I am. That seed becomes a creeping vine, wrapping around your voice, suffocating your authenticity, dulling your peace. Without realizing it, you live as if you must constantly prove you deserve to be here, but it's not your fault. This is what you learn to survive in a world that often punishes vulnerability and glorifies the mask. Yet, every mask tightens over time. Eventually, you find it hard to breathe under the pressure as living for others' understanding slowly suffocates your soul. You have the right to be yourself, even if no one understands. You have the right to feel without offering explanations. You have the right to exist, even if your story doesn't fit neatly into words. What if your fear of being misunderstood stems from a childhood where no one truly took the time to understand you? We often think speaking liberates us, but sometimes over-explaining becomes a prison of invisible bars. When you find yourself justifying every decision, every instinct that diverges from expectations, your voice turns into a defense, a shield, a wall, a silent plea for acceptance. Gradually, without realizing it, you stop speaking to express yourself and start speaking to protect yourself. You speak from fear, from guilt, from the old belief that if you don't explain everything, you'll lose someone's love. This kind of speaking drains you, tires your soul, weighs on your chest, and dims your light. Constantly explaining is like being on trial every day, where you are the accused, the lawyer, and the judge. You punish yourself for your feelings, then struggle to make them sound acceptable. Yet sometimes people still don't believe, understand, or hear you. Has that ever happened to you? Speaking out of fear is like trying to stop a storm with your bare hands. The words become fragile, nervous, devoid of truth, and despite your efforts, your heart remains alone. Your soul knows when you speak from love and when you speak from fear of being inadequate. Deep down, you know it too. You feel that difference in your throat, stomach, and chest. In that awareness, a painful yet freeing truth emerges. No matter how much you explain, those who don't want to understand you never will. Not because of who you are now, but because they never tried to see you from the start. Maybe, just maybe, it's time to stop speaking just to convince and start embracing silence to heal. There comes a moment in life, a quiet, raw, yet beautiful moment, when you realize silence isn't emptiness, it's shelter. A place without words where you can finally hear yourself again. I'm not talking about uncomfortable silence, the kind that feels like punishment. I mean a silence that embraces you, not the absence of sound, but a sacred presence that arrives after endless internal battles. It's not the silence that screams in your chest or begs to be broken. This silence doesn't demand explanations or ask for anything in return. It simply is. It exists alongside you like a gentle witness to everything you've carried within. In its presence, you feel, perhaps for the first time, what it means to be completely seen without judgment. This silence doesn't question your pain. It doesn't probe your sadness, fears, or moments of uncertainty. It doesn't try to fix you or shape you into something more convenient or acceptable. It doesn't ask you to be okay. Instead, it meets you exactly where you are. It tells you you don't have to explain why you feel this way. Just rest. And in this silence, listen carefully. Your soul finally finds space to breathe and exhale without fear of misunderstanding. Because speaking can be exhausting, especially when your words are shaped by wounds and your voice trembles under the weight of what you've endured. But silence, when chosen consciously and not imposed, becomes a form of healing. It becomes medicine, not the kind that numbs the pain, but the kind that brings you back to yourself. In that sacred space where you no longer feel the need to justify your existence, something incredible happens. You begin to reclaim your voice, not the one you used to speak to the world, but the quiet one within that has always guided you. The voice of your truth, your intuition, your essence. And in that moment, something softens. The sharpness of the pain dulls. The fire of resentment transforms into a quiet flame of awareness. The need for external validation fades away, and in its place, you find something far more powerful, the permission to simply be. Being silent is not running away. It is not surrendering. To be silent in its truest form is to return home to yourself. It's to look within and say, without a single word, I believe you, I see you, I choose you. Because not everything has to be understood or explained. Some feelings are meant to be felt, not translated. There are moments when your silence is not avoidance, it's protection. And there are people in your life who may never deserve the explanation you keep trying to offer them. So close your eyes, take a deep breath, and allow yourself to listen. Truly listen without needing to speak. Perhaps in that stillness, your real journey back home begins. Home, not as a place, but as a state of being where you no longer abandon yourself for the sake of others. When was the last time you truly chose yourself without guilt? Do you even remember? Or has it become so normal to put yourself last, waiting for someone else to validate your worth, that you've forgotten what it feels like to be your own priority? Choosing yourself is not selfishness. It is emotional survival. It's an act of radical self-respect. It's standing in front of the mirror and saying, no more. No more depletion, no more over-explaining, no more trying to convince others that I am worthy of love, rest, or understanding. I truly understand that when you choose to prioritize yourself, something inside you trembles because you were taught to please others, to yield, to smile even when you're breaking, to sacrifice your comfort for others. When you finally say no, without justification, the world shifts and masks fall. Some people may walk away, others might get angry. Why? Because you're no longer the version they crafted to suit their needs. And yes, it hurts. It stings to be misunderstood, to be left behind by those who once claimed to care. But you know what? It's real. It's liberation. It's rebirth. Choosing yourself is an act of courage, because when you do, you also say goodbye to the version of you who waited endlessly to be chosen by others. You're letting go of the need to explain your wounds, your pauses, your path. And yes, it's terrifying, because choosing yourself might mean standing alone for a while. But let me share something from my own experience. The solitude that comes from choosing yourself isn't a punishment. It's a cleansing. It's a sacred space to heal, to rebuild your identity, to remember that your value isn't up for negotiation or determined by what others accept or fail to understand. There's a quiet power in saying, today I don't need to explain myself. Today, I just need to honor myself. Even if no one sees that moment, even if the world doesn't applaud you, it will remain one of the most significant decisions you've ever made. But let's not pretend it's easy. Many of us spent years silent out of fear, not choice. That's a different kind of silence, a silence that doesn't heal, it suffocates, a silence that wraps around your throat like a knot, because you've convinced yourself that speaking up will only bring more pain. And yes, sometimes talking hurts, but staying silent, when that silence is rooted in fear, can be even more damaging. Have you felt it? That choking silence where you swallow your truth to avoid conflict, where you bury your feelings just to keep others comfortable. That kind of silence is like swallowing glass, unseen, but sharp enough to break you from within. Worst of all, over time, you get used to it. You become skilled at smiling when you want to scream. You say, "I'm fine," when everything in you is trembling. You learn to fake calm while chaos rages beneath your skin. But silence born from fear is not peace. It's a quiet war, one where the battlefield is your own body, your own mind, your own heart. That internal war, day after day, drains your spirit. It steals your glow. It convinces you that you don't have the right to exist fully, to take up space, to be heard. Eventually, you lose the ability to identify what you feel because you've silenced yourself for so long that you no longer recognize the map of your emotions. What's the difference between silence that heals and silence that destroys? One word: intention. Healing silence stems from choosing yourself, while destructive silence arises from fearing the loss of others. One says, "Today, I will care for myself." The other whispers, "I'm not worthy of being heard." But you are worthy of spaces where your voice doesn't need to defend itself, where it simply exists. You deserve relationships where silence is a moment of peace, not a prison. If you haven't found those spaces yet, be that space. Be the one who listens to your own soul, allowing your heart to speak and rest in silence when it's the truest form of self-love. One day, perhaps unexpectedly, something inside you will quietly shift, not in anger or sadness, but in a sacred stillness. A calm knowing will emerge. On that day, without fanfare or drama, you'll simply say, enough. That day will change you forever. You'll realize you no longer owe anyone an explanation, not out of superiority, but from understanding that those who truly love and see you don't need you to justify your existence. It will be a quiet, sacred day, a day where you choose not to answer certain questions or justify your fatigue, distance, or boundaries. You'll stop translating your soul for others, because constantly explaining yourself is like begging for permission to feel, choose, or be. But no one else holds that power. They never did. Only you can grant yourself that freedom. To stop explaining doesn't mean you close yourself off. It means you open yourself more fully to your truth, intuition, and inner wisdom. Some choices aren't made with logic, but with the heart. Decisions from the soul may not always be rational, but they are always real. And the truth, when real, needs no justification. Silence isn't emptiness, it's wholeness. It's telling the world, I no longer live to be understood. I live to simply be. From that place, you begin to attract people who don't over-explain themselves because they resonate with you and honor your energy. That is freedom. Some wounds don't bleed, they speak. They speak without asking permission, even when you wish they'd stay quiet. Sometimes it's old pain driving you to over-explain, as if words could prevent its return. But it's not your voice that needs to be heard, it's your wound. Do you remember when you said something hurt and were told you were overreacting? Or when you asked for love and were called needy? In that moment, your soul learned it had to explain itself to be heard. So you began repeating yourself, hoping someone would finally understand and stay. The truth is, you never wanted to talk so much. You just wished someone would say, even once, you don't need to explain. I see you. You wanted to feel safe being yourself and accepted without hiding. That's why you spoke so much, not for attention, but out of fear of abandonment. Each word was a silent plea. Can you see me now? Do you understand me now? Will you leave me again? Yet, there's a truth that, though painful, sets you free. The person who doesn't want to see you won't, no matter how loud you scream. The one who does see you doesn't need you to say a thing, because soul recognizes soul without explanation. It's simply felt. So take a deep breath, turn inward, and speak only when your heart decides, not when the wound demands. You are not your explanations. You are the truth that lies behind them. There's a kind of exhaustion that sleep can't cure, a deep weariness from years of explaining yourself, defending yourself, trying to be understood by those who never truly listened. Have you felt that? Speaking from the heart and receiving only silence, sharing your wounds with someone who responds with judgment or apathy, hoping for empathy but getting criticism instead. That hurts. But what hurts more isn't the cold reaction. It's the echo of your soul feeling invisible again. Gradually, something inside you fades. You stop talking like before, not because you have nothing to say, but because you finally understand. Some places aren't meant for your truth. The soul tires when ignored, when its voice is noise to others, when its emotions are dismissed or mocked. That's when many of us learn to stay silent not by choice, but for protection. Because sometimes it hurts less to stay quiet than to feel the wound of not being heard again. But that's not healing. It's hiding your pain under the rug of your soul, and eventually that rug gets lifted. So today, I invite you to pause not to explain yourself, but to hold yourself. Close your eyes and ask, where did I exhaust myself from talking too much? When did my soul go unheard? What do I need now to truly listen to myself? Because when you listen with love and stop demanding explanations from yourself, real healing begins. We live in a world that demands smiles, a world uneasy with raw pain, a world that wants you to say, I'm fine, even if you're falling apart inside. Gradually, you learn to justify your sadness, to explain why you're not okay, hoping people won't leave when they see your tears, as if feeling deeply was a flaw, as if your pain needed validation to be real. But pain doesn't need to be explained. It deserves to be honored. You don't need to justify your tears or owe anyone an explanation for your sorrow. You're not required to dress up what's breaking inside with pretty words. Pain doesn't seek approval. It seeks presence. It needs space to breathe your arms, not your arguments. The saddest part, pain often grows, not from what it feels like, but from how often you feel forced to justify it. I'm just tired, you say. I've had a rough week. Sorry, it's just stress. Lies dressed as explanations to avoid discomfort, to stay accepted, to not be seen as weak, dramatic, or negative. But feeling doesn't make you weak. Denying what you feel, that's what breaks you. So today, let yourself feel. Without guilt, without explaining, without covering it up. Your pain doesn't need logical proof to be valid. Your soul already knows, and all it asks is for you to stop fighting what you feel. Make silence your temple, and within that temple, let your pain speak, free of judgment. Here begins true emotional freedom. There's a silent belief in many wounded hearts that if you open your soul completely, you'll be more loved, so you share everything. You reveal your most intimate wounds, hoping that someone, upon seeing your raw sincerity, will hold you tighter. But it doesn't always happen that way. Not everyone is ready to hold your truth. Not everyone has the sensitivity to receive what you've kept quiet for years. And not everyone deserves it. Your truth is sacred, not a speech to persuade, not a product to be approved. Your truth is a fire. It can illuminate or it can burn, depending on where you place it. Often, in the name of love or the desire for closeness, you've given yourself to people who lacked the ability or intention to truly understand you. People who turned your vulnerability into judgment, who used your confessions as weapons, who saw your sincerity as weakness. So you shut down, promising never to open up again. But that's not fair to you. The mistake wasn't trusting or speaking. The pain came from not recognizing who deserved that sacred part of you. Learning to choose who gets to hear your truth is an act of self-love. It's saying, my story isn't for just anyone. It's meant for those who know how to appreciate it, as there are some who want to know you just to control you, and others who listen to protect you. The difference is in their presence, energy, and intention. Not everyone deserves your silence, and not everyone deserves your voice. Both are gifts, so don't blame yourself for having shared them, but from now on, open up only where your soul feels safe. Sometimes, talking too much becomes a way of forgetting, an elegant distraction, an old tactic to avoid feeling what's truly inside you. As you talk, analyze, justify, and explain, you drift away from yourself. You dissolve into the other person, getting lost in the maze of what others expect from you. Choosing silence, not the imposed kind, but the sacred kind, brings alignment within you. The pieces start to fit. Chaos finds a center. At this level, silence isn't hiding, it's returning. It's letting yourself hear what the world's noise had drowned out. That soft, persistent, authentic voice of your soul. That's when you realize there's nothing to prove. You're not here to please or fit in. You came to remember who you are, not to explain yourself. In that silence, external judgments dissolve. The need to be understood fades, and certainty takes its place. You don't need others' understanding to have value, for your worth isn't in how well you can explain your pain, but in how deeply you dare to dwell in it. Silence then becomes a healing tool, a way to reconnect, a mirror where you finally recognize yourself without ornaments, scripts, or defenses. You begin to see that everything you sought outside was waiting quietly, patiently, lovingly within, silent yet present. You stay quiet to remember, to return, to heal. Sometimes the road back to yourself begins with one simple, powerful silence. There's a quiet moment, almost imperceptible, when something inside you changes. No screams, no drama, just an inner decision. Firm, calm, final. I won't beg anymore. And it's not pride or coldness. It's dignity waking up, self-love rising from where it knelt for so long. Yes, you begged with explanations, apologies you didn't owe, sweet words masking pain, and anxious silences, hoping someone would notice your absence. That begging wasn't always obvious. Sometimes it looked like patience, excessive understanding, or pretending everything was fine, but your soul remembers it all. It remembers dimming your light to avoid bothering others, losing yourself to be loved, and explaining yourself repeatedly, hoping to be enough. Until one day, you choose yourself not out of anger, but out of love. A love so deep and true that it stops you from giving away pieces of yourself to those who don't value them. When the soul chooses itself, it stops begging, explaining, and waiting. It starts to move forward. It moves without resentment, but with awareness. It moves without seeking revenge, but with clear boundaries. It holds the heart, not to offer it, but to cherish it. And with that step, everything shifts, not outside, but within you. Silence becomes your ally, solitude your refuge, and you become your own safe haven. Convince, such a heavy word when born from fear. Convincing someone you're enough, worth staying for, that your feelings aren't too much, that your wounds aren't burdens. It's a draining dance, an endless conversation echoing in your chest. What if you explain it better? What if they understand this time? What if you change a bit so they won't leave? Yet every time you do, you're betraying yourself piece by piece. You let go of your essence to fit in, reshape your love to make it acceptable, soften your truths to avoid disturbance. Ultimately, what hurts most isn't the rejection, it's everything you stopped being to avoid it. Until one day, you've had enough not of them, but of yourself, of seeing your reflection and not recognizing who you've become. Realizing that trying to convince someone is a golden prison, shiny outside, but suffocating within. That day, your soul promises never again. No more begging for understanding from those who choose not to see you. No more translating yourself. No more performing for love. That day, words become fewer. You speak only what truly matters, what comes from your core. If they don't understand, it's okay, because your truth isn't up for debate. It's meant to be lived. Those with a soul will feel it. Lower your voice, not out of fear, but as someone guarding a treasure. Your truth doesn't need volume, only direction. There's no act more intimate or powerful than choosing silence. In that silence, you choose yourself. You stay quiet, not out of surrender, but out of self-respect. You're not silent because you fear the response, but because you finally love yourself enough to stop chasing it. You now know some battles aren't won with words, but by letting go. Silence can also say, I owe you nothing. I don't need your approval to exist. What I know about myself is enough. That is an inner revolution. For years, you were taught your worth depended on being understood, on being clear and coherent to others. But no one told you your worth also lives in your silence, that your voice remains alive even when unspoken, that you are whole even when you don't explain yourself. In that silence, something new begins, a reunion, a rebirth, a reconciliation with yourself. You stop trying to persuade and needing to please. You simply crave peace. And peace doesn't shout or argue. It settles in when you stop bargaining with your truth. Silence then becomes an act of love, power, and maturity. Silence to avoid betraying yourself and to break the cycle. Silence because sometimes it's not surrender, but self-choosing. In that sacred moment, true healing begins. How many times have you broken just to be understood? How often have you drowned in explanations no one asked for just to avoid feeling unwanted? How many times have you muted your own essence, thinking it would make them love you more? Now you see the strength in your silence and the beauty of not having to explain yourself. Maybe healing doesn't come from saying everything, but from no longer needing to say anything at all. The soul craves presence, wanting you to stay, hold yourself fully, and choose you, even if no one else does. This video is a space to remind you of something crucial. You aren't defined by your explanations. You don't need to convince anyone to deserve love. Sometimes, choosing silence is the deepest act of self-love. I invite you to share in the comments a moment when you felt compelled to explain yourself. Reflect on what might happen if today you embraced silence to reconnect with yourself. If this message touched you, please support this channel with a like. That small gesture helps us create spaces of depth and healing for thousands like you. Don't forget to subscribe and activate the notification bell so you never miss our next video. That next video will be another step on your journey back home. As Carl Jung said, what you resist persists. What you accept transforms. You are ready to transform.